Hi, welcome back. Meisha-ann, how are you?
I'm doing well, Al. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding to be talking with you on this Friday here. We're going to be talking about how to create a human-centered workplace. And congratulations on the promotion. This is Meisha-ann Martin, Senior Director of People Analytics and Research at Workhuman. If you would, Meisha-ann, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Meisha-ann, and I am an industrial organizational psychologist. My specialty is people analytics. I am fanatically passionate about how people experience work and using data and analytics to quantify that and making sure different types of people experience work just as positively. And I am with Workhuman and on the Workhuman IQ team, and we do analytics for the Workhuman Cloud and for our clients. I'm so excited to be talking about that today.
Well, Meisha-ann, you've been at this a while, and we're not going to go through the whole resume right now, but I am really excited that you have landed in a place where you can advocate
Yeah.
for the worker and create what you're calling this human-centered workplace. And I understand you have some slides you'd like to share to kick us off. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that is right. I do believe in that really deeply. And, I am so happy to be part of Workhuman because we're aligned with that. I think it's really hard for individuals to thrive if they're not thriving at work. And so, we're doing our part to make the world a better place, in my opinion, by making work a better place and a better experience.
I love it. Well, you get on with it. I understand. We'll bring up the slides and we'll get
Sure.
going.
So, especially in the moment that we're living through right now, technology is a really big part of how humans experience work, particularly as we're moving to hybrid working. So, to set the context, the Workhuman Cloud is a suite of human centered technology that allows people to thank and appreciate each other at work, celebrate the human aspects of their colleagues and things that they accomplish outside of work, and communicate with each other frequently through our continuous performance management software. So this is different from traditional HR software of the past. I think the HR software of the past was very focused on the task, right? Let's get the performance management done. Let's get it in the system and move it through the steps. This is very different. This is designed to help people experience work better and connect with each other and move from a group of colleagues to a real community that people can enjoy and thrive in. So we help a lot of clients create human-centered workplaces. We're very proud of the people we work with. So I just wanted to brag a little and throw this slide up there so people can see that we help the best brands in the world form a human-centered workplace.
That's an impressive slide. I mean, that's a lot.
Thank you. Let me throw it up again. Yeah, I'm especially proud of, our biotech clients and our vaccine makers that are on this list. It felt really good to be helping the people who were helping us through this difficult time in this past 2 to 3 years.
It's funny you say that because those are the ones that jumped out to me.
I figured they're particularly relevant right now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on the Workhuman IQ team, and the Workhuman IQ team is the analytics arm of Workhuman. And so we have all this data from all these clients and all the ways people interact with each other within those companies, and we analyze that data. We analyze that data to try to get insights around how people experience work and try to find ways to make that better. So we work with our individual clients, sometimes linking data in our system to their data. So things like engagement, performance, voluntary turnover, patient satisfaction, customer satisfaction, safety. Sometimes we go across the database instead of just working one-on-one with clients to just see what's going on. And we also are really proud that we do our own independent survey research as well. So sometimes we'll just send out a survey to regular working people and ask questions about constructs of interest. So I'll share some of our findings from the past couple of years with you today.
Great.
So what did we find? When we scanned the workplace during this really crazy thing that we were all going on together, we found that people were struggling. We found that a lot of people were burned out, most people were stressed, and about a third of the workplace was lonely. We also wanted to look at psychological safety. So, at a time when people are struggling, it requires a level of vulnerability to say, I'm not okay and I need additional support. And so, psychological safety creates that space where people can be vulnerable and ask for support and the help that they needed. So, we thought it was really, really important to dive deeper into that construct at this particular time. And we found some interesting things. We found that overall, we have work to do. On a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the most psychologically safe, the average was only between 3 and 4. So not even like 4, which is good, but closer to me than to good, right? So
Right.
not that great. And also, when we looked at it for different groups, we found that some groups were even lower than this already low average. We found that women were lower, we found that parents were lower, and we found that non-whites were lower. So arguably, the people that needed psychological safety the most during this time, unfortunately, had it the least. So then we dug a little bit deeper and we thought, okay, so how does this relate to people's intentions to seek a job elsewhere? So we followed up with some more survey research in fall 2021. And what we found was around 40% of the sample said that they were intending to look for a new job in the next year. We also found that the people who are intending to look for a job were significantly lower on psychological safety compared to people who said they intended to stay put. We also found that a majority of our job seekers or intended job seekers were parents. 65% of that job seeker sample were parents. And then lastly, we found that the thing people wanted the most that was driving their job seeking intentions was a desire for greater flexibility. And this was especially true for the Black workers in the sample. So we found some really, really interesting things.
That's, yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to come back to that.
Okay. So, we don't just want to identify what ails us, right? Like, we're all about what can we do to make this better. So we looked at that. And not surprisingly, we found that recognition really helps. So when we looked at our sample, we found that the people in our sample that were highest on psychological safety were the people that were recognized most recently, so within the past month. We often use this survey research to recommend to our clients what they look at in their own individual organizations. And we did this study last year, and we've already done a similar study with one of our clients and replicated this exact same finding. So within that organization, the people that were highest on psychological safety were the people that had been recognized most recently. We also found that it helps out working parents. So when we look specifically at working parents, who again made up the chunk of our job seeking sample, those working parents who were the least stressed were also the people who had been recognized the most recently. So recognizing and appreciating people can kind of take the edge off, right? And reinforce their value to the organization, especially important in a really difficult time.
May I pause you there real quick? Because
Absolutely.
what does recognition look like? Yeah, recognition is obviously something that is talked about a lot. I have written about, and it's something that's dear to me, not only as a professional, but as a parent. And it actually echoes Maya Angelou and others. Like she had talked about, all right, when somebody walks into a room, just I don't forget the number, but just give them 5 seconds of attention or 10 seconds. I forget what it was, but just look them in the eye and be fully present with them for a moment.
Right.
And I've tried to do that, with my kids. So, particularly with remote work though, and,
Mhm.
when you have, 10 meetings a day and so forth, what does recognition look like on an ongoing basis to you
Yeah.
and what you're doing there at Workhuman?
Yeah. So I love that question, actually. And the Maya Angelou quote is, people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Yep.
And recognition really makes people feel things, At the base of it, every human wants to be seen and they want to be appreciated. So what does it look like? It looks like me specifically communicating to you the things that I appreciate about you, Al, as a person, as a human, and
Mhm.
also what you do for me at work, right? So your
Mhm.
accomplishments at work, your accomplishments in life. In our particular product, we're really proud of it. One interesting aspect of the way that we think about appreciation and recognition is that it's social. So
Mhm.
not only am I appreciating you, but it shows up on a social feed for all my other colleagues to see and celebrate this wonderful thing I've done. They can
Mhm.
comment on it and amplify the recognition. We've done research, or we're doing research right now on what this witnessing effect does, right? When
Mhm.
people witness this
Mhm.
appreciation, and what it does is it amplifies the positive effects of that social recognition. We also have a product that allows people to celebrate each other. So we recognize that humans are more than what they bring to the workplace. So
Mhm.
with our software, you can recognize when people have bought a house or run a marathon or bought a puppy or had a baby, and you can see the cute pictures, Al.
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like in our context.
You know, to your point, it acknowledges the humanity
Yes,
within us all, not just a worker, there to contribute something.
that's
And you'll love it. That's obviously needed. It's always been needed, but it's been amplified, given the pandemic and the struggles with
mm-hmm.
remote work. And you mentioned earlier, and I want to come back to it now, if you don't mind, is uh, the non-black population, I'm sorry, the non-white population
Yep,
has not been seen, heard. Mothers have not been seen and heard. There
right,
hasn't been the space, the psychological safety to actually voice concerns and offer
right.
up, ideas. So as you mentioned, it's one thing to acknowledge the problem. There's another thing to actually do something about it. So in the organizations that you've seen address this problem successfully, and I know that varies in perception and what really is the case. But
Mhm.
what would you put forth as some ways uh, non-white workers have been seen, heard, and empowered, and how
Mhm.
women, particularly parents, have been seen, heard, and empowered over the past 2 years now?
Yes,
What
yes.
are your thoughts?
I mean, people were going through so much, right, in the past 2 years. So let's not forget all the civil unrest and all the emotions that
Mhm.
came with that, right? So
Mhm.
one of the things that happens in organizations, especially for groups of people that are smaller and are not the majority, is that things are happening with those groups and with that experience that goes under the radar and
Mhm.
is not seen by the broader organization. So
Mhm.
the individuals feel it, and they suffer from it, disengagement, lack of morale, cynicism, which is the
Yeah.
killer,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the organization is essentially blind to those things. So our clients who are the best at this, the first thing they do is they unearth what's happening, and we
Mhm.
help them with that. So, strategic continuous listening programs, right? But also our analytics team helps with that. We look at the pattern of recognition experiences across groups, even looking at intersectional identities to identify, are there differences that are happening in this experience? And where can we shore this up for different types of people? So the
Mhm.
first thing that we do is we draw awareness. And then we have research to show, just by including different people in this experience, you can get great outcomes. So what we see is that when non-whites and women participate in a recognition program, turnover drops for those groups specifically.
Mhm.
Also, again, the more recently and frequently somebody is recognized, the more likely they are to say that their company values inclusion. And then lastly, with one client, what we saw is for parts of their organization that were really good at recognizing their diverse population, they had better business outcomes. And the outcome that we looked at for that particular client was patient satisfaction. So they actually had better patient satisfaction scores. So treat your people better and they will treat your customers better.
Crazy thought. And,
I know.
I want to take that a little bit deeper if you don't mind, because I am all, uh, I am like we all are. We're constrained by time. And so I got my phone right here, right? And I'm doing my job during the course of the day. I have 5, 6 meetings. I'm trying to do work in between these meetings. I'm busy, so I'm gonna maybe take a break and go for a walk, meditate. As a way to recharge and all that. Self-care. But I'm gonna have an opportunity to engage in this device or my computer browser, and I'm gonna go and potentially, proactively, hopefully, go out and seek to acknowledge somebody who's done something on my behalf. So what I'm hearing is that, number one, we as workers, whether it be we leaders or members of a team, we need to proactively reach out and recognize people. It's just not. And what I'm hearing too is that your platform makes it easy to do this. So it's not like, okay, I got to go dig out someone's email and comment on that I can
do it on my phone.
I can do that quickly, and and it comes from an authentic place. Am I playing that back right? Is that what you encourage to make this a priority and go and make it happen, as opposed to just do it, as a luxury, just making it, hey, this is something that's essential to how we function as an organization, how essential as we function as a team and as a leader? Is that right?
And that is correct. And, we do make it easy, but I would also say that let's remember that that effort pays off. So many times at work, we work hard, but not necessarily smart. So, for example, as a leader, it is my job to amplify the performance of my team. Whatever you recognize gets repeated. And so if you change your thinking to recognition as a performance enhancement tool, it's not a luxury. It's part of your job. It's part of how you're coaching your team. As a team member, when you give somebody recognition or appreciation, it creates this gratitude effect. And we know that gratitude has all these positive consequences or advantages, right? And Adam Grant did a great set of studies on this that showed that gratitude makes people more altruistic. It makes them want to help you in the future and anybody else in the future. So if you're trying to create an environment where your coworkers help you out and help each other out, this is a great investment in that outcome.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you for going off on that with me.
Sure.
Did you have another slide? I interrupted your flow there.
Yes. I just have a few more. So we stopped talking about, how recognition decreases stress for working parents. But I also want to emphasize that it is a consistent effect. We picked working parents because we felt like that needed some focus, but we've done this same study a couple of years now, most recently last year, and we find the same thing for the sample at large. And what we find is people who are recognized most recently are the most grateful and the least stressed. So in times of change, whether it's external to the organization, internal to the organization, or both, double down on appreciation to help people be more resilient and experience less stress. So the next thing I want to talk about is, what are the outcomes of this and how do you do it more effectively? This is a single client study, and we did this study with a client in the midst of the pandemic when most of their workforce was remote. And so we were comparing people who were not recognized, that's the gray, people who received recognition, but it didn't have a monetary component to it, and then people who received recognition that had a monetary component. So another element of our social recognition system is that when you write a message to someone being specific about what you appreciate, you can attach a monetary component that that person can then redeem for a gift card or an experience, or maybe they want to give it to charity or buy a handbag or a wine fridge. I don't know. They have the choice, right? And what we find consistently is that adding that monetary component amplifies the effect of that recognition. And we find that again here. So, in the midst of the pandemic, when people were not seeing each other, what this is showing us is that people who received monetary recognition within the last month before the survey were the most likely to say they felt connected to their colleagues. So while we can't be physically in front of each other as much, it's a great way to continue to build connection and community as we move into a hybrid working environment.
And this is the organization recognizing contribution, because obviously that's a systematic solution as opposed to a team member, giving a like or some type of either verbal or written recognition. Is that right?
This is individuals appreciating individuals. And
Oh,
that
really?
individual, yep. And that individual could be your direct manager, another manager, somebody from a project team, your coworker. We believe that anybody in an organization should be empowered to appreciate any other body in an organization. And we have shown and proven that that really creates community and has a lot of positive impacts. So it's not at all impersonal. It is from me to you.
And so does everyone have a budget or an account, or how does that work?
Our clients do it very differently.
Mm.
Sometimes the budget is an organizational wide budget. Sometimes it rolls up to the department. But yeah, departments do it differently. And not every appreciation across our clients has a monetary component, but our best clients do a combination of both.
Understood. That's great insight. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah. So more along the lines of, what do we recommend in terms of how to make appreciation really impactful? Again, it's an environment where everybody is empowered to give. Because what we find is that receiving feels good. As you can see on this first graph, it does lower turnover compared to if you're not receiving recognition at all. But when you're participating by giving appreciation to a coworker and you're also receiving appreciation, that amplifies the effect and lowers turnover even more. We also see that it matters who you receive recognition from. Yes, receiving recognition from your manager is great and it's important. But if you're receiving recognition from both your manager and the people around you, that's where we see the best outcomes.
This is cool.
Isn't it though? I think so, but I'm super biased about
Yeah.
that.
The recognition has long been a bit of an esoteric concept. That's why I started
Mhm.
off asking the question, what is recognition to you all? So this is
Yeah,
obviously making it very practical and elicits an emotional response that
yeah,
obviously has benefits not only to productivity but to someone's feeling of safety and
yeah.
connection to the organization and others. So no, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It is actually really cool because, as we mentioned, I recently got promoted, and so I got the recognition for that on our system, and I was able to not only read through my direct manager's notes, but all my colleagues were commenting with congratulations and talking about what they appreciated about working with me over the past year and a bit that I've been with Workhuman. It does give you the good feels.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I'd press a button and give you recognition if I could.
Thank
All I can
you.
do is to say congratulations at this point. But
Thank you. Thank
but
you. Thank you.
great. Now, did you have anything else? Oh, you got
Just
one more.
one more slide. I just want to talk about our new research report that's coming soon. We have a lot of research on the Workhuman website. as I said before, we do work with our individual clients, and you can see those case studies on our website, but we also do our own independent survey research as well. And this is a report that's coming out for Employee Appreciation Day, and it has a lot of important good things in it. So we're looking specifically at the difference between hybrid working, fully remote, or fully on site, and the different needs of those different groups, how to keep people connected, and how we move forward in thinking about work as we start to work differently.
Well, super cool. What's the date of that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm just
Yes. So that will be out in around a week or so. So I'll say start
oh,
looking for it about next week, Friday.
all right. Well, we're going to have a follow-up discussion about that once that gets launched, because
I
that
would
is,
love to.
yeah, no, this is fantastic. I mean, Meisha-ann, we've known each other for a while. I am, again, excited for you, where you are with Workhuman, and it seems like a perfect fit, given your values and, given, the impact that you want to make on the world. Hey, I have a few more questions if you don't mind. And, I want to
No.
talk about the fact it's Black History Month. And,
Yes.
it's also the case where I'm of the belief that it's always History Month. It's
Right.
always Black History Month. We have an obligation to learn about our history as a country and reflect on, how we interact in the world and some of our biases, both conscious and unconscious, and strive to make this, world a better place, and through our micro community that we have the greatest impact on. And
Mhm.
so my pointed question is this: given what's transpired over the past couple of years, in particular with social strife, and you alluded to it earlier, that Black Americans specifically have had a extraordinary experience, even, and so with George Floyd, and it's just been it's been tough. And I, for one, despite my background as an athlete and having been around Black men a lot, and football and basketball, I thought I had an appreciation for the Black experience, and I'd like to think I do. That being said, what the last couple of years have highlighted is that I still have a lot to learn.
Yes.
And it's, in my view, it's not enough just to be a good person and do the right thing
Mhm.
when things come at you. Arguably, and I would argue this very assertively, we have a
Mhm.
responsibility to proactively work to make things better, to call out injustice, whether it be in the workplace or elsewhere. And not everyone's up for that. So how does this relate to our discussion? And my question, it's this: is that when we talk about recognition, when we talk about seeing people, hearing people, what are your thoughts about how to address this? And I know we don't have much time to talk about
Yeah.
it, but there's some simple steps. Is it initiating the conversation, the awkward conversation? Is it
Mhm.
just reading books and listening to documentaries and stories about the Black
Yeah.
experience in America? What are some of your two or three ideas to
Yeah.
get people started?
Yeah. I'll start out by saying Black History Month was really tough for me this year.
Mhm.
I woke up on February 1st, and I know Black History Month is supposed to be a celebration, but when I woke up that morning, I woke up to the news that my alma mater, an HBCU, historically Black college and university, shout out to Morgan State, was closed due to a bomb threat, and that 11 other HBCUs had experienced similar bomb threats. And so I didn't feel much like celebrating, because here we are in 2022, and still this is happening on the first day of Black History Month. So now let me get to your question. A lot of people have good intentions and good thoughts, but frankly, that's not helpful. And so the first thing people need to do is become proactive. Um, when George Floyd happened, a lot of organizations asked Black employees to talk about how they were feeling, to lay themselves bare, and to be vulnerable, and to say the things that made them afraid. that they were afraid of what would happen to their Black boys and their husbands, and one thing organizations can do to facilitate those conversations is to create an environment of psychological safety. So that's easier because it is necessary to have those conversations so that people understand. However, with that comes great responsibility. What happens after those conversations? What do you do? I think that there is some element of white people always asking people of color, what do we do? Do the work,
Mhm.
educate yourself, stand up for me so that I don't have to keep standing up for myself. If someone mispronounces my name or spells it incorrectly, I'm tired of saying something. You say something, you know?
Yeah.
Ask me how I'm feeling and really be comfortable with that. When I answer you, listen to me instead of protecting your own worldview that the world or the organization is a great place. So those are just small but big to me things that people can do to make the experiences of Blacks and other people of color better in the world and better in the workplace.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And what you what I heard there is that you invited people in and you also challenged it. That it is going to be uncomfortable, but it's rewarding nonetheless. I can speak from my personal experience that I to be called an ally, and not to say that I'm perfect at it, and sometimes unsolicited, it was like, oh man, it gives me fuel. It gives me,
Yeah.
I get recognized, and I want to do more of the work to, again, create a more just and equitable society. So again, thank you for being you. Thank you for doing the work that you do. And thanks for sharing today. We're going to have to do this again. Yeah.
I would love it. I'm honored to be invited. Thank you so much.
All right, Meisha-ann, you be well. Talk to you
Okay,
soon.
you too.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
bye.